If you want to get started hosting on Airbnb, then listen up. I'm giving you my top 5 tips to get started and automate a short-term rental hosting business. It's a great way to get started at making extra money. You can even make enough to replace your income from your job, and I know because I did it. And it doesn't matter if you want to buy a property or co-host or manage or do rental arbitrage. The tips I'm going to give you today will help you get started as a host and as a profitable host, regardless of your strategy to get the property. So I own over 80 active short-term rental listings in 3 different markets. My company generated $2.7 million in revenue last year. And I started with a single Airbnb listing, which was a mother-in-law suite in the first home I bought. It was a way to live for free by house hacking. And today, my short-term rental portfolio is worth about $10 million. And I want to show you how you can get your start too. Whether it's to replace your W-2 income or to build a big Airbnb business like mine, maybe even a little better. In this video, I'm going to break down 5 key areas to start your Airbnb business and be as efficient and profitable as possible from the start. And I'll tell you from experience, if you go in blind, it can and will be a lot of work. You always hear short-term rentals are a lot more work and a lot more effort than long-term rentals, and that's true to a point. But I'm going to show you how you can set up your hosting business to run efficiently and mostly automated by putting the right people and the right systems in place. To kick it off, let's talk about how to choose your market. And I'll start off with giving my own insight from owning short-term rentals across the country in different markets. So I like the towns that have year-round demand. Markets that are warm year-round and attract visitors. Because of that, like Tampa and Phoenix and LA, cities in the Sun Belt in like the southern United States, or even smaller, more affordable markets that are right outside those cities like that, they may be a better place to start without breaking the bank. And other markets I like are markets that are winter wonderlands with ski resorts and winter activities that also have summer attractions, like where I own properties in South Lake Tahoe and near Salt Lake City where I live, and places around national parks that stay open in winter and attract people all year round. And again, maybe it's an adjacent market or one within driving distance where there will be less competition and lower price points for you to get in. So I suggest you start investing in short-term rentals that are somewhere close to you or somewhere that you're familiar with at least. Maybe you don't live in a perfect or urban market or a destination market, and that's okay because Airbnbs can work almost anywhere by either being close to what brings people to that area or being so unique that you draw people to you. The truth is the market doesn't matter as much. It's the property you find, what you do with it, and how you run it to maximize its potential. Being in a good real estate market that is bound to appreciate is that cherry on top. All things we'll get into. And I'll show you AirDNA so you can pull market and property data to vet your opportunities. All right, number 2 is to stand out from your competition. It's important to realize that whether you arbitrage or you buy your co-host, it's all the same operation. So simply put, for each of those, co-hosting is where you co-host someone else's listing, usually for a percentage of the revenue and manage that operation for them. And arbitrage is when you rent a property and then sublease it on Airbnb. And buying a property, obviously, you purchase the real estate and then rent it out on Airbnb. But operationally, they're all the same. So don't get hung up here because you can make sure to stand out from other listings and perform better than other hosts regardless whether you arbitrage or you buy the real estate or you co-host. So you need to research your competition to find ways to differentiate your listing. So what you can do is you can look at your competitors' listings on Airbnb and on AirDNA like I showed you, like do they all look the same, and ask what's missing and how can you stand out. Another thing is to hit the popular amenities in that area if you can, because the algorithm will boost you up by checking those boxes when other hosts don't. And you can go into Airbnb and search for that for any area that you're looking in, and on the search page where it shows the listings, you'll click on the filters in the top right and then scroll down to where it says amenities, and there you'll see all the most popular amenities for that market, which vary by market. Like you'll have different amenities that are popular in different areas. And if you check those boxes on your listing, you'll be more likely to show up in more search results. And when you're looking at your competitors' listings, like on AirDNA, you can go in and go right to it. Like what are the common themes that make those the best listings? Aim to match or exceed that by finding a separator from your listing. It might be a spectacular game room or a theater, like an awesome outdoor space or a pool, or just an eye-catching cover photo, like dusk photos with great lighting, or string lights is a great way to stick out so that your listing, draws their eye and they click on it. Now, the appeal of your listing is a big factor in how the algorithm ranks you. So play into that. It's going to determine the amount of views you get and thus the bookings, and then the more reviews, which will come back to fuel how many views that you get again, and then the algorithm picks up on this. So standing out from your competition with better design, unique spaces, and amenities, and just better wow photos will get you more views and then better guests that pay higher rates and, believe it or not, complain less will book your place, all which end up with you making more money. And I just did a whole video on cracking the Airbnb algorithm a couple weeks ago. If you haven't seen that one, you should definitely go check it out and watch it to understand what all goes into it. Speaking of algorithms, YouTube's algorithm in this case, if you guys like this video or are finding it valuable or just want to do me a favor, please hit the like button on this video. That tells YouTube's algorithm that this is a good video and it will push it to other people who can benefit from it as well. And subscribe and hit the bell if you want to keep seeing more good short-term rental content like this. I post every Friday and my goal is to deliver you guys the highest free short-term rental value on the internet. Let's get back to it. All right, tip number 3 here is to build your Airbnb dream team. When you're starting out, you need 2 key people. You need a great cleaner and a great handyman. I want to put the emphasis on the great because these people will ultimately be the ones who take care of your listings so you can focus on running your business and building your portfolio, not doing those things that they would do, or so that you can just enjoy what you built and travel the world with your semi-passive income from the investment of your short-term rental. So you need a cleaner, obviously, to turn the property in between guests so you don't have to. I've been there and it's much better to have the cleaner. You can trust me there. And you need a handyman to take care of the maintenance items for when a guest inevitably breaks something or a lock jams or you have a leak, like whatever that case may be. You want to have these people up front so you aren't blitzed by a problem later without having your team in place to handle it. Now, finding these people, I've always had the best luck with referrals and recommendations. If you know people in the area who know a great cleaner and know a great handyman, your chances are pretty good of getting them on your team as well, especially when you're starting out because you're not completely taking them away, just adding them into your role. Your network is always going to give you the best people. I've also found great people on Turnover B&B, which is now Turno. Indeed, we hire a lot of positions for our business there, and if we don't have any open referrals or we're not getting any recommendations at the time, we'll post there. We hire a lot of cleaners from the hotels from Indeed. Also, Facebook ads or a simple Facebook post asking for recommendations. We've done that as well to hire people. And Craigslist. So there's some tools you have at your disposal. The point is to and find the right people that are responsible and willing to step up when needed. Like, you need to explain to them they may need to go out in the case of an emergency or to make sure guests are taken care of, or if they get locked out, the things that happen. So you need to talk to them about this and set that expectation up front so they don't call you to handle a problem that they could handle. And though you always want the best deal and to pay the lowest, pay them well so that they take care of you. Like, you can always cut your costs later, but if you cheap out at the beginning, you may never find, or worse, lose the right person, and that be the hiccup that puts the pressure on you and pushes you out of the business prematurely. Like, I love to buy from those kind of people, but I don't want you to be one. All right, number 4 is all about reviews, and reviews are a host's lifeblood. They're so important because of how listings are ranked in Airbnb, and if you want to get bookings, you need your listing to be seen by potential guests, right? So like, Airbnb's algorithm is performance-based after you accept your first guest and start getting reviews. Before that, it's more interest-based as it boosts your listing and they see how potential guests interact with it. So to get seen, you absolutely need to get good reviews. My top ways for getting good reviews, they seem simple enough, but the first is to provide great service. Like, if you really accept the hospitality mindset and go above and beyond for your guests, you're going to do well, especially because you'll already be in a good high demand market and have a listing that is unique and stands out from the competition, and you'll have your dream team in place from the previous steps. So treat your guests like gold, read their reviews of you, like the ones they post on Airbnb about you, and take their feedback and always look for ways to improve and deliver an increasingly good experience. All right, next is review reminders. This is to ensure you get good reviews and that the algorithm gods shine their light on you. And you also benefit from incorporating review reminders to get more people actually leave a review for you. This can be in the form of text, a message, through Airbnb, whatever, however you automate it. You can set up in your automated messaging sequence and exchange pleasantries and wish the guest safe travels and yada yada. But the important part is to say something along the lines of, if you enjoyed your stay, please leave us a 5-star review in the app. It really helps us to show the guests that, the places we're staying, whatever that looks like. And also that if they didn't enjoy their stay, to let us know here, or let you know here, and you'll take care of it. So hear this part of it. People are 70% more likely to leave a good review if you simply asked, or if they're simply asked. So that means you're leaving 7 out of 10 reviews on the table if you don't ask. Now, we all know, just like Yelp, that people are more inclined to leave a review if they had a bad experience, right? So people love to vent to the masses. But if you're a proactive host and you won't have any of those anyway, and because you ask people, then they'll review, you'll get gleaming reviews. This is going to give you an edge over all the other hosts and help you get to that superhost status. Now, how to deal with bad guests and get reviews removed. So surprise, not all guests are a walk in the park. Like, you will have bad ones, you will have some problems and that you're going to have to deal with. But don't let that throw you off your game. Like, realize that up front. And don't let it detract you from your long-term goal of building up your cash flow to reach financial independence through, your short-term rental investments. I've seen too many would-be hosts not be able to stand up to that pressure, and I don't want you to be one of them. So some ways to deal with bad guests are to document everything. Like, if you have a bad guest that leaves damage or an excessive mess or whatever that may be, and it's going to cost you time and money and energy to make it right, here's one of my super tips. So first, point out to them that you found the damage or the mess or the missing item and message them through the app. That's the key, not a call or a text. It has to be a message through the app. And ask them if they noticed and if they're okay, if it disturbed their stay, whatever you need to throw in here. The point is to give them a chance to own up to it so you can put it in the resolution request and the process is easier. Or if they're crazy, they might deny it and say it was like that when we got there. Right, okay, our cleaner left a broken lamp scattered across the living room floor, Kool-Aid stains on the couch and didn't say anything. Guess sometimes. But then you let them know that you're going to file a resolution request and give them the heads up to voice anything that they might have. The point is to take the blame off of them and put it on the situation. If you deny the request, Airbnb air cover will cover the damage anyway. You want to make sure to take photos and keep receipts of all replacement items or any extra cleaning. This is the documentation piece of it. And then you file that resolution and Airbnb will handle the rest with them and then reach out to you for the evidence and the receipts. So the whole purpose of this is to inform them, let them know you care a little bit, and helps to avoid that bad review. It makes it about the situation and not about blaming them in the case it might not have been them, and helps you avoid a bad review or a retaliatory review to keep your review score higher. And you can also protect your review score if you do get a bad or a retaliatory review when they mention the cost or the fees charged to them, because you can get that review moved by reaching out to Airbnb support. The reason is retaliatory reviews are against their updated review policy, and that is in your favor as a host to use. And that's why you ask them, and have that conversation with them through the app. And another tip, especially with dealing with Karen guests, you can probably picture that kind of guest or person, is when you message a guest and they're complaining about something and threatens a bad review for you not doing something or leaving the unit in a certain way, or you foresee the conversation going in that direction, ask them this: would this cause you to leave a bad review? Or, sorry, are you saying that if we don't do X, then you're going to leave us a bad review? If they say yes, you can apologize or say whatever excuse you have and use that as ammo to get that review removed. This is for when people are putting you in an impossible spot and you really don't have any other choice. You can use that message thread to prove to Airbnb when you dispute the review that the review was retaliatory or it was extortion, and that is against the Airbnb review policy, and you can get it removed. So I'll link that Airbnb review policy below so you can check it out and see what I mean, and the kind of reviews that are against the policy so you can get more of it removed. So these are some of the ninja tricks to keep your review score high so you rank well in the algorithm, you stay on top of the rankings, and get more views and more bookings. So with normal guest problems, a lot can get lost in translation through the messaging app, and tension can get high because you're just sending messages back and forth, you don't hear the tone. And in this case, just call the guest, put it on your customer service hat and just deal with them directly, listen to their concerns, and doing whatever you can within reason to alleviate the issue. That's going to do wonders for you, and save a lot of bad reviews from happening, and just diffuse irritable guests. When we get in that spot, someone on our team picks up the phone and calls to handle the situation, and because of this, most of the time they end up leaving a good review because they see we're proactive, we're trying to help, and we're trying to do right by them. So the next part is refunds and discounts. Not all guest issues that you have that you deal with will be from bad guests or Karens. Most will be reasonable people with valid concerns that are lower threat, really. But nonetheless, remember, you're in the hospitality business, and doing right by your guests not only gets you good reviews, but also repeat guests and people who may recommend your listing to others. And just keep people in your good graces when issues arise. It can be worth giving a customer a discount on their stay or refunding a cleaning fee in the case of a cleanliness issue, hair left in the shower or hair left on the toilet. We hear that one a lot because they have so many listings. Or just give a discount on a future stay. The goal is to give them something worth value that is affordable for you but will mean something to them, and show them you care. And when you do the right thing and you take care of the people, they remember that and they reward you with that good review anyway, despite the issue. Like most of the guest issues that we have still end up in 5-star reviews because we give minor discounts or refunds to build goodwill with the guests. And I can tell you the short-term concession is worth it in the long run for you and your reviews and your reputation. All right, the 5th and final step is to automate. And this is one of my favorites. It's an absolutely key part of running your Airbnb business both profitably and efficiently. So what I mean by automation is putting systems in place so that your business runs without your constant direct involvement. That's like the biggest thing that I see that burns hosts out, is never being able to disconnect from their short-term rental business and always being on call. But you can be a pro host, or at least act like one, and guard your time by putting things in place like automated messages and smart locks and review reminders, using cleaning software, dynamic pricing. These things together are the tech stack that's going to make your short-term rental business buzz along and continue to print money without you being attached to bring in every dollar. And the best part is you can do it all from your phone, and you can do it from anywhere. All right, so the first part of this is automated messages. So automated messages are like step one into making your business more passive. I started out when automated messages weren't such a big thing, and I did all the guest messaging, all the check-in instructions, the checkout and checkout too, and just all the in-between going on and on and on. But more than that, it was all the guest issues that arise, the questions I got because I wasn't being proactive. Now our automated message sequence answers questions before they're ever asked, or at least tries to. We have things like our guest books and our house manuals with instructions and directions to get there, and local recommendations sent out in our automated message sequence. And it's also texted them so that they don't miss it. And our check-in message has, the check-in time, the instructions and parking directions and the door code all sent to them. And then when they reserve the reservation, and we send them a welcome message so that they know what to expect. And when we know, when they'll get their door code, so they don't get messages asking about that. Then we shoot them a checkup message and check out just to make sure they have everything they need, getting ahead of anything that might be going wrong, so we can save the situation before it turns into something like us having to give a refund or getting a bad review. And finally we send out checkout instructions. So their whole journey with us is curated to be efficient for them and for us. We have hundreds of guests a week, and it works for us. It works for us, and it'll work for you just starting out just the same. Like your time spent will be a mere fraction of what it would be otherwise with automated messages. Next is smart locks. I cannot say enough about smart locks. Like I used to use electronic locks that you just have set a door code on and you forget about it, and it didn't connect to the messages, and sometimes guests didn't get the codes because I was doing the messaging. And a few times we actually had guests check in early or come back after checkout when another guest was there because the code was the same. Learn from my mistakes. So now the past 3 years, we have Wi-Fi enabled smart locks that connect to the Wi-Fi in our property management system, or PMS, you'll hear that term, through our third-party integration. So every time a guest books, they get their own unique code. And the great thing is the code is only active from check-in to check-out. So they can't come in early when the unit is not cleaned. And because first impressions are everything, so we don't want that to happen. And they also can't come back after their checkout and disrupt the next guest. And the best thing is the code is sent directly to them in the check-in messages that they get a few hours before check-in. So it's all automated. Like we don't have to generate a new code or manage codes for different guests. And the smart lock allows you to manage from the app. So you can lock and unlock your phone. You can also do the same with your cleaners, and you don't have to do all that code management, especially as you get more listings. It becomes a lot. And it helps you just ensure the security of all your units. Plus, you don't have to worry about guests or yourself losing physical keys. It's a huge piece to the automation of your business. And it's only $300 for these Wi-Fi enabled smart locks, whereas other electronic locks are $100 to $150. They're well worth it. All right, the next piece is cleaning software. And this can be a simple tool like Turno, which was the software formerly known as Turnover B&B. And I use this one on my single house here in Ogden, Utah. Or it can be another similar software, and even some PMSs have it built in with an integration or whatever so that you can use. But cleaning software is something that will share your calendar with your cleaners and allow them to connect to the turns and keep you both updated. It will do things like notify them of new reservations and changes to the calendar like cancellations or extensions, so that the cleaner is always up to date and never misses a turn. That way you don't have to be the one communicating all this and simply check in to verify that the cleans are scheduled. That adds another layer of automation. It takes less time and more off of your plate. You see the theme here? All right, dynamic pricing software. This is a huge one because it's gonna add a lot of money to your top line. Like, I spent a lot of time in the past managing prices and looking at the calendar and changing prices and adding discounts. So dynamic pricing software is a software that will automatically change your prices based on supply and demand. It scrubs all the data off the booking platforms into what rates and certain dates are getting booked, and then adjusts your prices accordingly. This is one you really need to use because it will add like easily 20% to your top line. When your demand is low, it's going to lower your price within the parameters you set. And when other hosts who aren't using dynamic software have static prices that are stuck at the higher rate, you're going to get the booking instead of them. And then likewise, when demand is high, it will boost your rates so that you can capture that demand. And it does take time and still some research to set up the rates and input your settings. But once you get it set up, you don't have to check it like maybe monthly or maybe even seasonally to make sure that your rates and your bookings are where they need to be. As long as your bookings are steady, you're good. This will save you so much time, compared to manually going in and changing your prices, and you're also gonna earn more money. So it's really a no-brainer. And the last one here is PMS, or Property Management System, and integrations. For those with a few units, or when you get to the few units, you'll want a Property Management System, or PMS, or Channel Manager. Today they're essentially the same thing, like PMS and Channel Manager combined. And a PMS has all the functions like automated messages and a unified inbox, and it connects all your integrations for your smart locks and dynamic pricing, and puts your calendar all in one place for all your listings across all the platforms. So like when you're on more than Airbnb and you have multiple listings, it's a huge time saver. But I recommend starting out on just Airbnb to get your reviews and your bookings there, to boost your listings in that algorithm. Like if you start on Airbnb and VRBO, your bookings and reviews will be spread across those platforms, and it's going to dilute your performance on each one. So by starting with Airbnb, you can consolidate all that in one place and play into the algorithm. And once that progress is built up, then expand to more OTAs like VRBO and Booking.com, and the PMS will integrate all of that in one place, so that you log in there to manage everything. It saves a ton of time and makes managing a short-term rental business very streamlined. Whew! That's a lot, right? Like, I hope you guys know that I didn't hold back on you, and I want you to get the strongest, fastest and best start possible. And if this came at you fast, like, go back and rewatch the sections and refer back, as you work through stuff. I got a habit of talking fast, so maybe slow it down and rewind. But these are all the things that I use in my business to manage 80 plus listings. It only takes a few hours a week of my time. And when you're starting out, that should be your goal too. Like, get that high short-term rental cash flow, and then make it streamlined so you can enjoy the fruits of your labor. This stuff may take a little longer to learn and set up in the beginning, but I can promise you from experience, it is so worth it. Then you can, do whatever you want, quit your job and work from anywhere, and, live the 2020s version of the American dream. So hope it was helpful for you guys. And before you go, if you made it this far, please like the video. And if this would help someone share it with them. Like, my goal is to provide you guys free content on my channel and deliver maximum value so you guys can go out and crush it in the short-term rental space. So I'll see you next time.